Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another chainmail tutorial. My name is God of War. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make chainmail cuffs. Now I'm going to be starting from where we left off on the last tutorial that I posted on how to make European 4-in-1 chainmail. So if you haven't seen that yet, please visit my last video. I'm going to give it to you right now on the screen right in front of your eyeballs. So if you haven't seen that, if you don't know how to make a basic European 4-in-1 linked chain, please go there, watch that video first, then come right back here, and we're going to show you how to make a European 4-in-1 cuff. Now, before we start, I just want to kind of introduce myself again. My name's God of War. I do stream on Twitch every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday starting at 9 a.m. Central Time. You can find all the links to my socials right below in the description. I want to get started by answering a question from a viewer about the last video. He asked, why do I use the tools that I use? So I chose wide nose jeweler's pliers to make all my chainmail with, and there are a couple different reasons for that. These specific pliers are from theringler.com. I'll provide that link in the description as well, and I like these for a couple different reasons. First reason, they're very inexpensive. Free is my favorite price. These unfortunately don't fall in that category, but they're very close. So if you're looking for some inexpensive starter tools that will get you through many projects, I can't say enough good things about these basic wide nose jeweler's pliers. The second thing that I like about these is that they're spring loaded. You see that they're always in the open position, which helps a lot when you're putting together rings. You don't want them to be closed all the time. You want the pliers to naturally be open, so you can pick up a ring. When you're done linking it through, you just have to let go to drop your piece. Now, if this wasn't spring loaded, you'd have to get your finger in there and pry it apart, and that is something you do not want to do. It's going to add a lot of time to your work, and you're going to be very uncomfortable doing it since you're going to have to be doing that every time. So spring-loaded jewelers wide nose pliers are the way to go. The reason I like wide nose pliers, I work with stainless steel more than any other metal, more than aluminum, more than precious metals. So the wide nose helps bend those stainless steel rings. Now, they're not the easiest rings to bend, so if you use a needle nose pliers, you will find that it's going to be constantly slipping off of your ring, and it's going to be very frustrating to try to make something that could be easily done a lot more efficient with the wide nose pliers. You work with stainless steel, wide nose pliers. If you're working with precious metals or aluminum, you can get away with a nice set of spring-loaded jewelers. Make sure to get jewelers needle nose pliers. Again, the reason you want jewelers, if you don't remember from my last video, is because they have no teeth. When you're working with precious metals such as gold, silver, or a not so precious metal, but a still delicate metal, aluminum, especially if it's anodized and colored, you don't want the teeth on the pliers because that will scratch your piece. Now, it may sound like no big deal, like, no, my pliers won't slip, it'll be fine. Guess what? Your pliers are going to slip, and you're going to ruin a lot of your rings. If you're working with precious metals, they're very expensive, so that's something you do not want to do. That's the reason that I chose these wide-nose, spring-loaded jeweler's pliers for all of my work. All right, if you remember from last time, this is where we ended with our basic European 4-in-1 making the chain tutorial. So we have 4 separate 4-in-1 patterns attached to make a chain. What we're going to be doing today is I'm going to be showing you how to attach multiple rows to make a cuff. So the first thing I'm going to do is make another European 4-in-1 chain exactly like the one I made. Again, if you haven't seen this or if you don't know how to do this, please go back and check out my how to make European 4-in-1 chainmail, the basics video, and you will see exactly how this is done. Now I'm just going to start making the exact same chain as I did before, and then I'll show you how to attach them. Okay, now we have 2 chains of 4 links each. What we're going to do now is we're going to attach them together to make one piece. This is going to be the base of your cuff. Now, keep in mind that your cuff can be as long as you want it to be. You could make a full bracer with this. You can make a full sleeve using a pattern like this. So it's very versatile when it comes to chainmail. This could be the beginning of a bishop's mantle. It could be the beginning of a full chainmail shirt. Knowing how to connect these rows is very important when making chainmail. So right now, I'm going to show you how to do just that. The first thing to remember when you're lining up your rows is your middle rings have to all be facing the same way. You'll notice when I bump them up next to each other that the middle links are all facing that way. That's what you want. If you were to line it up like this, and they were facing opposite directions, your pattern would be broken and it would not fit together. These rings would turn into each other, and this is not the proper way to connect 2 rows of chainmail like this. So I'm going to spin it around, and I will show you guys how to connect these 2 rows. First thing that we do when we connect rows like this is we squeeze them together. Now, if your rows are like this, if they're very far apart, it's going to be very difficult to connect these if you're doing it for the first time. The easiest way to do it is to scrunch up your rows so they're nice and tight. Put them next to each other, lining up the middle rings. And then we're going to do the same basic pattern as the European 4-in-1. All we're doing is inserting the middle ring. So the premise is exactly the same as the last video, but now we're just doing it in between 2 different pieces. So just like the last video, you would go down through here from the top down, hook it under, and you'd come up through that hole right there. That exactly like it's this piece. We're just connecting the middle to the 4 sides. We'll go down through here, underneath, and then we're going to come up through here, and we're going to close that ring. And we're going to continue this all the way down the piece. Again, keeping it nice and tight. That's going to be the best way to do it. The reason that we keep them tight is so you can see the overlap in the rings. If it's spread far apart, it's hard to tell, okay, if I go down here, or am I supposed to come up through this one, or what am I supposed to do? So keeping it nice and tight will give you that overlap. Always remembering to keep the rows lined up. That's going to give you the best chance of not missing a link while you are making your double row of links. Now, once again, we're going to go down through the next set in the link. We do this for every one. You don't skip any. You'll come up through the top. You can see that little overlap right there. And that's going to give us our next connection. So we're going to go down through here, loop it under, and we're going to come up through that other hole. And if your links look like this, just like the European 4-in-1 pattern, you've done it correctly. If there's only 3 in there, you missed a link. So take that middle ring back out and line it up again and put her back through. We're going to close this ring. Again, we're going to make sure that our link is perfectly closed so that there's no burrs on either side. We'll lay it back out, squeeze it together again. Find our next 2 holes. There's going to be right here and right here. Go down through the bottom, loop underneath, and come up through that hole on the top row. Now, when you line up your rows, you'll notice that the ends get messed up. I tend to leave them like that. If you're one of those people that have to see, your pretty chain while you're making it exactly how it's supposed to lay, you can flip these and rearrange them to make them perfect. But it really only matters once you get to the last row. So if it looks pretty, if it makes you happy while you're doing it, absolutely do it. If it doesn't bother you, just leave it because you're going to save some time by not constantly fixing that last row. We're going to open our next ring here, and we're going to do row number 3. And we're going to go down through here, come up through here, down through, loop underneath, come up through that top hole, overlap, and we'll close the ring. Out nice and pretty again. And then we will repeat that pattern through the rest of the loops. Now you can use your finger to hold it down if it helps. Some people don't need to. Some people don't use the pliers when they put their rings through. Like I said, this isn't the only way to do it. This is just the way that works best for me, using the pliers. Maybe because I have some pretty big hands, and looping the little rings through the holes don't make much sense to me because I'm not very nimble when it comes to that. If you know of a different way to do this, please let me know. Leave a comment below the video. I'm more than happy to try out new ways, new ideas. Anything that improves the process is a good thing. So, you know of a different way, if you've hacked the chainmail system, just let me know, and I'll start hacking it with you. You know, not like in a violent way, but you know, in like a we win, aha, other chainmailers kind of way. I'm just gonna finish up this connections right here. So squeeze it all together. Make sure all the rows are lined up. And then use like the pretty Venn diagram circles. You can learn about Venn diagram anymore? I don't know. And we're going to go down through here, underneath, loop up, come up through the top. Close that link. Now's the time where I start making my end rows pretty because we're on the last link in the row now. So we're going to go last time, down through, come up, through the top, close the link, and, gentlemen, voila. Here we have 2 rows connected using the European 4-in-1 pattern. Now, I told you we're making a cuff. I'm going to show you a couple different ways that you can link these together. The first way, obviously, it's going to be longer depending on your wrist size. And it's going to look, while you're wearing it, it's going to look more spread out. If you like this kind of spread out pattern, I mean, absolutely feel free to leave it this size. Again, the rings that I'm using for this are the same as in the last video. 16 gauge, 5/16 inner diameter rings. So I make scale mail. This was the recommended ring for it, so this is what I'm showing you. The smaller the diameter ring that you use, the tighter the weave will get. So if you use small rings, you'll get more of a weave that looks like this, where if you use bigger rings, it will look more like this and even more spread out the bigger the rings you go. So keep that in mind as well. Now, when doing that, using smaller or bigger rings, remember that the size of your cuff is going to change based on the ring that you use. So if I was using very small rings to create a tight pattern for something like this, it might only be about that high, depending on the inner diameter ring size that you chose. Bigger rings will give you a bigger cuff. Now this one is about 2 inches tall, which fits my wrist pretty well. So now I'm going to show you how to link your cuff together to make it an actual cuff that will stay on your wrist. Couple different ways you can use, and what I use for most of my cuffs are magnets. Now you can buy these on Amazon, you can buy these on the ringlord.com. I do recommend the Ringlord's magnets over something on Amazon just because they're very, very strong. Now, when you're working with stainless steel and you want a magnetic link, you need something very strong because stainless steel is not the lightest material in the world. A lot of people will use lobster clasps for the attachment. Lobster clasp will never come undone. A magnet might come undone. Even the very strong magnets might come undone. So make sure you pick the clasp based on your activity. Are you going to be doing a lot of stuff with this? Might something bump it? Could it become detached? If so, use a mechanical clasp like a lobster clasp. Then you know it's not going to come off. You'll feel it on there. So the two different ways that you can do this is to attach your clasps to these 4 end links. So you'd open up this link, slide a magnet on there, and do the same for all 4 corners. Then when it loops around, you'll have your 4 magnets that can attach to each other on the underside of your wrist. The other way you can do it is to continue building this out to one link, and I'll show you how to do that shortly, to attach a lobster clasp or a single magnet. I prefer the double magnets for the stainless steel double row cuffs just because they're heavier, and one magnet might not hold it on there depending on how big it ends up getting. So if you decide to do the 4 corner magnets, just the top ring on every corner, open that up, slide your magnet on, close it, and you're done. If you decide you want a lobster clasp, or if you want to use one magnet, I'm going to show you how to build the end out to make it come to one single link. Now we're just going to take a ring, open it up, and we're going to continue the pattern, but it's going to make a triangle on the end. So the first links that we're going to put in are the middle links on each end. For that, we're just going to attach these 2 links together, just like we're adding another middle ring to the European 4-in-1 pattern. And then we'll close that. Do the same for the other side. Open up this ring. Attach our next middle link to our European 4-in-1 pattern. Close that link. Grab another ring, and we're going to do the same thing for the middle. We're going to add another middle ring to the middle of our project. Go under the bottom and up through the top row. We'll close that link. And carrying on, I'm going to do the same thing again, but just moving down to where we added these rings. So now we're going to go under here and up through here. Close that link up. Same thing for the top. And since there's only 3, we're going to be going through the middle ring twice. We go down through the middle, up through the top. Close that link up. And then the last one will go on the end. So you remember whenever you attach your clasps, when you put the last one on, make sure to loop the clasp on it, or else you're just going to have to open it back up again and reattach it anyways. So we'll put this last loop on, assuming there's a clasp on here, whether it be a lobster clasp or a strong magnet. That would be how you taper your end into a single ring for a single clasp. Now I'm actually wearing a cuff that I've made already. This is what it will look like on your wrist. This is the same rings, the same connected 2 rows. I chose to have magnets on mine. This is what it looks like on the underside. So I have the top and bottom rings have magnets on each side. They fold in nicely to the middle, and they both attach like so. You can open them up if you want to, but the magnets will naturally attract to each other because they're magnets, and it'll look something like that when you wear it. Now it's pretty solid on there. I can wiggle it around a bunch and it's not moving, but my magnets are very strong, so I can get away with something like this. But this is the cuff that we just made using the tutorial from our first video, how to make European 4-in-1 chainmail, the basics. And then this tutorial, how to make a European 4-in-1 chainmail cuff. Again, going with this pattern, you can go as high as you want. Go all the way up to the elbow. You can go up to the shoulder. This could be the start of a sleeve to a shirt. But this is the basic pattern. And you can use whatever you would like to attach it. Now, if you get into the longer stuff, you might want to use some kind of cord that you weave through here, but we're going to go over that in a further tutorial on how to weave, say, like paracord or whatever cord of your choosing onto your chainmail piece. There's a certain way to do it that will be most comfortable for you and look the best. So we'll go over that in a future advanced tutorial. But what you've just seen here, right now, in front of your eyes, in color, is how to make a European 4-in-1 chainmail cuff. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed your viewing. If not, tell me what I can do differently. If you have any tips and tricks on how to make a European chainmail cuff that I didn't cover in this video, make sure to drop a comment below. You can find me live on Twitch Monday, Wednesday, Friday morning starting at 9 a.m. Central Time. Thank you guys very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.